So if you're a millennial, meaning you were born around 1980-ish to around 2000-ish, like we are, you have probably been accused, like us, of being lazy, self-entitled, maybe even narcissistic,
selfish,
unfocused.
Yeah.
These are all labels that have been put on us as a generation by other generations. And why is that the case? Well, there are several reasons. One of our favorite speakers, Simon Sinek, goes into a lot of reasons why this is the case. But one reason we want to focus on today is because of technology. Technology is our best friend at times, and technology can also bring all of these negative traits out of us as millennials. And technology can really cause division in our marriage.
We're going to talk a lot about social media, but this can just as easily be applied to surfing YouTube, playing lots of video games. We're kind of lumping it all together because it's the use of technology. And that's really what draws us in. Video game producers look at how addictive it is in order to see like its efficacy if they're going to put lots of money into it. And the same is true of social media. A study from Harvard 2012 shows that when we get a buzz on our phone, or a ding, or whatever,
a like,
whatever your phone does that alerts you that someone is interacting with you, we get a dopamine rush. And dopamine is that thing that drives us for more. So dopamine is what drives us for more sex, for more food, for more acceptance, for more drugs. It's the search.
So essentially, we're creating a generation of addicts who think that their self-worth comes from a device.
Maybe you're like me. At times, I have to actually delete some apps in order to kind of become grounded again.
Yeah.
Right? Because how often when you're in a social setting and you're not exactly feeling comfortable, you pull out your phone. That would be showing signs of addiction, actually. Right. Instead of interacting with the person you don't know across from you, you pull out your phone and jump on there. If the conversation is slowing down, we pull out our phone. And how many times have you been in a restaurant and you look and the whole family is on their phone and not interacting?
Or like you somehow have permission if you're like in a restaurant with a friend and they go use the restroom. It's like, oh, I can pull out my phone now, as opposed to just sitting there and taking in the world and observing. I mean, that's when creative moments happen, is when you're observing and taking in the world.
Right. I mean, how much reflection are we actually allowing ourselves? We really do need to stop and take stock of everything. And like other videos, we talked about being grateful and looking around at the world and reflecting on it.
Yeah. There is actually a study done in 2014 in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology that says people who spend more time on Facebook are more depressed than people who spend less time on Facebook. And it's kind of funny because this was back in 2014. At the time of this recording, it's 2019. So it's 5 years later. And I would probably bet that there's a lot more studies done and on other social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter, etc.
People have brought this point out, and one of those reasons for that, besides the isolation, that you kind of isolate yourself, but you're isolating yourself while peering into other people's world who are only posting the most brilliant highlights of it.
Right.
So like, look at me, I'm in Maui, I'm having an amazing time, I'm surfing, and I'm enjoying this beautiful weather. What are you doing? And that's kind of what we're doing to ourselves all the time. We're not posting the nitty gritty, like, oh yeah, here's some pots and pans in my sink, or like, I have to go to work today while you're surfing, whatever you're looking at. But we're continually comparing ourselves, and that's maybe not good for our psyche.
Right. I mean, millennials are also known for having lower self-esteem. And we see that in our practice. I mean, a lot of our couples or individuals are millennials that struggle with their image, their self-worth, their self-esteem. And a lot of that probably has to do with their use of technology.
because we're comparing ourselves among ourselves.
Yeah. There's actual, when they did this study in 2014 about Facebook, they found that there was actual real stress in the brain when people lost followers and real joy that they gained when they gained followers or had likes or comments.
So unless we're intentional with our technology can and does have the potential of kind of throwing us off, kind of distracting us from our purpose, from our mission. And so we want to encourage you, set boundaries. What is okay, what is not. Set your expectations.
Yeah.
Because we can easily always be frustrated. So if my wife, if I get frustrated at her doing it, I'm fine. I'm going to get on my phone, right? And it could be a source of contention.
Yeah.
So setting clear boundaries and having a discussion about this is very important.
And be specific about it.
Yeah.
One of our couples that beta tested our Foundations card deck, they were looking at card number 8, which says, how do you feel about my use of social media? How can we use social media and technology to draw us closer rather than further apart? So they started talking about their use of social media and technology. And the wife said, I found out for the first time, it's been months or maybe even years, I can't remember, but it's been months. My husband plays this stupid game on his phone. She's like, and I never realized until we had this conversation after reading this card that it's a 3-minute game. And he told me that for the first time. She's like, so now I know that if he's playing his game, I can say, hey, I need to talk to you. And he could say, oh, okay, I'm almost done with this game. And I will know that it's going to be 3 minutes or less because the game only lasts 3 minutes each round. And so that was a point of clarification for her. She finally knew, okay, there's a limit here. Now, that might include him setting a limit, too, on his use of that game.
Or how many 3-minute games he
right.
jumps into.
Yeah. But it could definitely make a difference if you're specific or not. So here are some guidelines, some ideas for being specific in your boundary. One is no phones on the table. Whether that's the dinner table or the business conference room table at a meeting, and turning your phone upside down, like the screen facing down, doesn't make a difference either.
Yeah.
I think some people kind of dismiss it and say, well, if I turn it over, then I'm being polite and letting them know that they're my priority. But you're still sending a message to everyone in the room when your phone is there that there's so many other things that are your priority rather than the person sitting right in front of you.
Another good habit to get into is no phones in bed. Bed should be your sanctuary, right? You don't want to miss your wife's cues or your husband's cues, or you don't want to miss out on, sleep. We
say the bed, you heard Adam say it's your sanctuary. We say the bed is for the 2 S's, sleeping and sex. That's it. And that's really important just for sleep hygiene too.
Yeah.
You don't want to program your brain to think that the bed is associated with wakeful activities like checking your email, etc.
Right. Well, she says wakeful activities. Before you go to sleep, it's very difficult to go to sleep if you use your phone because of the blue light coming into your eyes. This is becoming more known lately, but bringing a phone into bed and right before you go to sleep is not good for your sleep cycle.
Yeah.
So, treating that as a sanctuary, that should be time that you talk and catch up or go to sleep.
Yeah.
Do either, but don't drag it out in bed.
And that goes for the morning too. I'm definitely guilty of this, but we say, oh, I have to have my phone next to me for the alarm. Alarm clocks cost like $20 or less. So you can grab an alarm clock, but, getting up in the morning, first thing you do is you grab your phone. And so, we've set that rule that if we grab our phone, it has to be the Bible first before anything else. But then once you read the Bible, then it's like, okay, now I could check social media.
Right.
Well, what about that person laying in bed next to you?
Right. The first part of your day is almost the rudder for your day. I've heard an admiral of the Navy say, make your bed. Have one win for the morning. Make your bed. And it's just a simple way of saying, set the tenor, the tone of your day at the very beginning of the day, and then, go for your goal.
Yeah.
But don't clutter it already with thinking about other things. focus. It helps you focus. I find myself, if I jump on social media or watch a video first thing in the morning, I continue that pattern. I'm less focused. I'm less productive. The last tip is set up your environment for success. If you don't want to be on your phone, put it in a drawer.
Yep.
Put it out of sight. Turn off your ringer. Most likely, you don't have to be reached if you're with your family and you have no other plans. But being with your family when you're with your family is imperative here.
It's the same principle that we apply to working with an alcoholic. It's an addiction. So what do we do when we're working with an alcoholic? We take the alcohol out of their home. Not we, but we ask them to take the alcohol out of their home. So if you're working to break an addiction to technology or your social media or devices, then remove yourself from that device. Set limits, set boundaries.
So have this conversation with your spouse. You might think of other things to apply this to, right? We didn't cover all. Technology is ever changing.
Yeah.
One person's thing might not be another person's thing. So talk about it. Have a discussion about this. Where are our lines? Where are our boundaries here?
Yeah.
And then implement them and hold each other accountable.